Hello, my name is Gregory, Townsend, and I'm going to go over some topics for Module 3. Perspectives and development. Different ideas on how humans develop. Continuity versus discontinuity. Development is either continuous or discontinuous, either smooth and gradual, or sudden growth and rapid changes of development. Stability versus change. Development is stable throughout life, predictable from childhood behavior, or new characteristics appear throughout development and are unpredictable. Nature versus nurture is when development is biological, programmed, and difficult to change, or the environment shapes development, but now it is seen as more of an interaction between the two rather than one or the other. Methods of study include cross-sectional, which tests multiple ages at the same time, compares and contrasts results. It is cheaper and easier to do, but may bring out false comparisons due to variations in development between individuals. A longitudinal study tests the same group of people over a long period of time and allows researchers to see developmental changes and consequences, but is expensive and time consuming. Prenatal development includes teratogens, which are groups of toxins that can pass through the placental barrier and disrupt development of a fetus. Critical periods are times in fetal development in which the development of organs and body parts are at the greatest risk to these teratogens. Norms at birth, infancy, and childhood. For the brain, all neurons are present at birth, but the brain grows from 25% of adult size to 50% in 6 months to 75% in 2 years. The frontal lobe develops slower, fully developing around the age of 25. Motor development. Babies develop motor functions top down, learning to control their head before their hands, hands before their legs, etc. Reflexes. Unconditioned automatic responses to stimuli. These include the rooting reflex, where the head will turn towards a cheek being stroked. Grasping reflex, where hands and fingers will grab an item if palms are touched. Moro reflex causes infant to arch the back, extend arms, legs and fingers, and in most cases cry. The Babinski reflex, in healthy infants, the big toe will go upwards and other toes fan out while the sole of the foot is stimulated. Depth perception. The Gibson walk experiment that showed visual cliff in babies, they will not cross a cliff and can see death and understand it. Critical periods are crucial times in organisms' development in which it learns important survival skills. This impacts the development of processes such as hearing and vision, social bonding, and language learning. Examples of this are the sensitive period, in which environmental stimuli have more of effect in certain periods of development, and imprinting, which is simple, effective learning process that occurs in a critical period in the life of some animals. For language, the phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a spoken language that influences comprehension and production of a word. A morpheme is the smallest meaningful element of a spoken language. For example, in pictures, picture and s are both morphemes. Syntax is a set of rules to determine how morphemes are organized to make grammatically correct sentences. Semantics is meaning that is expressed through words and sentences. And theories of development of language include crying, cooing, babbling, single words by 1 year of age, and telegraphic speech, which all contribute to the development of language. Overgeneralization is the extending of something beyond its usual circumstances, and the tendency of young children to generalize standard grammatical rules to apply to regular words. Imitation acquisition is when children learn language through imitation of adults, but only around 1/5 of the stuff they learn is from imitation. Innate skill is an innate disposition to acquire language rapidly. Rapid progress in language development in the first 5 to 6 years of life, where learning is done without formal teaching. The brain and body are pre-wired to learn language. Nonverbal universal language is behavior that is seen across cultures to communicate, like pointing. For adolescent development, puberty. Females begin puberty at the start of the menstrual cycle, males at the first ejaculation, referred to as the menarche and spermarche, respectively. Primary sex characteristics are reproductive sex organs, and secondary sex characteristics are non-reproductive body changes. Adult physical peak. For women, menopause. The transitional period in a woman's life when her ovaries start producing less of the sex hormone estrogen and progesterone. Declared official when a woman ceases to have menstrual period for 12 consecutive months is the end of her reproductive years. Sensory reactions. Visual Visually, lens are less flexible, so now you adults are more farsighted, and the ossicles are damaged, which leads to worse reaction time and inability to hear higher pitches. Gender role development. Gender is the attitudes, feelings, and behaviors that are given to a culture that a given culture associates with a person's biological sex. Gender role is a set of expected behaviors, attitudes, and traits for men and for women. Also develop a schemas of gender roles and society's expectations of how females and males should behave. Gender identity is one's personal sense of being male, female, neither, or some combination of male and female, regardless of whether this identity matches our sex assigned at birth and the social affiliation that may result from this identity. Gender typing is the acquisition of a traditional masculine or feminine role. For cognitive development, Jean Piaget was a Swiss psychologist. He studied his own 3 kids, identified their changes in how they think and reason at different ages. The sensory motor stage occurs at around 0 to 2 years of age and entails physical manipulation and ends with symbolic thought. An example of this is object permanence, which is the understanding of an object exists even after it disappears from view, which develops at this stage. The pre-operational stage occurs at 2 to 7 years of age, is in early childhood. The symbolic and language stage includes animism, which is the belief that inanimate objects have human feelings and intentions. Includes egocentrism, where the child may have difficulty understanding life from any other perspective than their own, and they are very self-centered. Theory of mind is also in the stage, which is the capacity to understand other people by ascribing mental states to them. Includes the knowledge that other people's beliefs, desires, intentions, emotion, and thoughts may be different from one's own. The concrete operational stage, which occurs from 7 to 11 years of age, where logical reasoning develops, and is in middle childhood. This includes laws of conservation, where quantity remains the same despite physical changes of arrangement or shape, and reversibility, where action has a logical opposite. The formal operational stage entails the ability to think hypothetically and to consider beforehand and identify the possible and actual. However, not all people achieve this level. Vygotsky's theory of scaffolding says that social interaction is fundamental to development, where it contains concepts of culture, language, and the zone of proximal development, which is the difference between what a learner can do without help and what he or she can achieve with guidance and encouragement from a skilled partner. Adulthood cognitive skills include crystallized intelligence, which increases as they get older, and is the ability to apply previously learned knowledge to solve a new task, while fluid intelligence hits a peak around 30 and decreases from there. Fluid intelligence is the ability to solve new tasks with no prior knowledge, and the ability to learn new skills. Skills are consolidated and sharpened through adulthood, more abstract and rational. Cognitive disorders of aging dementia used to be referred to as senility, an abnormal deterioration of the brain, includes impairment of abstract thinking, memory, and judgment, and affects roughly 65% of people aged 65.